Since then, I've got a lot of, because I published on my social media, and I've got a lot of discovery calls. So now it's only on referral basis only, because it's a lot of time. But the reason why I say that is because in the discovery call, that's where I measure that energy flow. Meaning, I'm not just going to take a client just to take a client. As I said before, it's not just about making money, it's about helping people. So it's very important that, and so the ones that gravitate towards me a lot, funny enough, is...
Welcome to Career Coaching Secrets, the podcast where we talk with successful career coaches on how they built their success and the hard lessons they learned along the way. My name is Davis Nguyen, and I'm the founder of Purple Circle, where we help career coaches scale their business to $100,000 years, $100,000 months, and even $100,000 weeks. Before Purple Circle, I've grown several 7- and 8-figure career coaching businesses myself, and have been a consultant at 2 career coaching businesses that are doing over $100 million each. Whether you're an established coach or building your practice for the first time, you'll discover the secrets to elevating your coaching business.
Welcome to Career Coaching Secrets Podcast. I'm Kevin, and today we're joined by Randy Belham. Welcome to the show, Randy.
Thank you so much. I'm very happy to be here.
Before we started recording, you were telling me that, well, one, you're obviously a coach, but you were telling me that you had a history of being a serial entrepreneur and all that. I'm so curious about your origin story, the lore, what got you coaching, and what made you realize that you wanted to do coaching and make a business out of it.
I started my career in finance, a stockbroker with Merrill Lynch. Fast forward a little bit, a few years doing that. I was married at the time, and I had my ex-wife who was a teacher, and she was just talking to me about what a perfect school would look like. And I said, you know what? And without even realizing it, she was my first coaching client without even realizing, like, we never charge anything, but in hindsight, because I asked her the secret question. I said, what would that school look like? So she started telling me, and it was like really animate about it. I said, build a business plan. We can build a school. So we started building a private school in Montreal. It's an elementary private school. It still exists today. So that's when I started really entrepreneurial. So as a stockbroker, you're kind of like an entrepreneur, meaning you have to find your own clients. You're under the umbrella of Merrill Lynch, but you're really entrepreneurial. Like, you got to build your own business. Did the school, then I ran a summer camp, built a summer camp within the school building, did an electronics company, advertising around all the Montreal, etc. And then I started traveling. I got divorced, and then I started traveling. And in my travels, I lived with monks for 3 months in Thailand, which was kind of like, yeah, so it was like silence, no talking, 1 meal a day, sleeping on concrete. But really what the whole premise of it was to get into your mind and understand what's being said. What do you say to yourself on a daily basis, or every minute, every second? And you get that through meditation. So as I was going through my travels, and then I ended up in Bali, then the pandemic hit, etc. So I came back to Montreal, and the pandemic was, it was COVID, and I was stuck here in a way. And I said, what can I do? So I reached out to a good friend of mine, and he said, Randy, you should be a coach. You've done, like, you help people, you're really good at it, you love teaching, you love, helping, become a coach. So I became certified through the Jay Shetty certification school. And my premise has been, since I started 5 years ago, was really to help entrepreneurs with their mindset and what drives them, like what's driving them the right way or the wrong way. And I use meditation a lot in my practice as a coach. That's how I got into it. And that's my whole purpose is really to help entrepreneurs, not just from the financial side, because that money comes and goes, it's always in flux, but it's really the person behind, like, the entrepreneur in the business.
I'm so curious, what led you to entrepreneurs specifically, though? I mean, there's so many different audiences or demographics that you could help. Why entrepreneurs?
Because that's what drives me, right? Because being a serial entrepreneur, that's what really drove me. And what I've realized in my journey as well is the grind. The grind is really tough, especially as an entrepreneur, because you want to make your business work. You want to make you want to make money at the end of the day, but you also want to provide, or whatever that is at the end of the day, is to look at that. And I said, there's so many entrepreneurs that are not being served. Entrepreneurialism has probably the most burnout rates, the most divorce rates, a lot of financial instability, like, throughout the journey. So there's all these facets that really affect the mind, and it can spiral. You can go into, like, really dark places. You can go into addiction. You can go into just hatred and anger and all these negative emotions. That I think that it's a demographics it's well served coaching to make money, to scale, but it's not well served for the interior, the inside.
Are there any particular entrepreneurs you especially love helping, I guess? Because entrepreneurs, there's quite a few, right? Like, there's different types. And so I'm curious if you gravitated to any certain types of entrepreneurs.
I gravitate to people, and I would say that's, like, it's the energy that, and I do discovery calls. It's always a free call. recently because I was named Life Coach of the Year by an association in the US. Yeah, the IAOTP. I forget the acronym, but I think that's the right acronym. Since then, I've got a lot of, because I published on my social media, and I've got a lot of discovery calls. So now it's only on referral basis only because it's a lot of time. But the reason why I say that is because in the discovery call, that's where I measure that energy flow. Meaning, I'm not just going to take a client just to take a client. As I said before, it's not just about making money, it's about helping people. So it's very important that, and so the ones that gravitate towards me a lot, funny enough, is people in the financial services industry. So stockbrokers, insurance agents, people that have their own firms, they've been coming to me quite a bit, and real estate agents. So those are the two areas that really come towards me, that gravitate towards me. But me outwards, it all depends on the entrepreneur. So there's no real industry specific.
Yeah, I'm kind of curious too. How you mentioned a lot of your marketing, I guess, is like through referrals right now. That's a large amount of your client base. Have you tried any marketing outside of just like referrals and all that?
Sure, I do. I've done a lot of like funnels, lead gen with freebie. I've done that. I still do it sometimes. I do lunch and learns, which is sort of like play where people can come in and spend 3 hours with me while I speak and they eat. It's a small venue. So in terms of marketing, that's where sometimes I get clients from there. But the base of it, again, it's not necessarily to get the clients. It's for me to pass my message along of what's happening in your mind. What are you saying to yourself on the daily, on the every single minute? Literally drop. We're all guilty. Like our mind is programmed for that. Even myself. It's all about listening to it and understanding what it's saying and reversing it. So coming back to the marketing question, and I do social media. Like I'm active on Instagram, LinkedIn, and Facebook. Those are the channels that I do. I do have a newsletter as well, and I write it on a blog. So these kind of areas they come bring. But and in every business that I've ran so far, the biggest flow of clients is referrals.
Based on your experience, could be right now, it could be in the past, but what's been the hardest part about when it comes to finding clients for yourself?
To find clients, especially in the coaching business, I'm going to use that because that's what I'm currently in. I think the hardest part is really to build the reputation. In the beginning, I had a plus because I've had multiple businesses, people have known me. So, and that's exactly how I started. I started reaching out via email, phone call, text message, saying, hey, I'm a coach now. This is what I do. This is what I specialize in. And this is the results I can get from my client. And it just started from there. And, my first client, he was a parent of a kid that came to my school.
Wow.
Yeah, so he's like, your timing is perfect, Randy. And actually told me, reach out to me in 2 months. But he goes, timing is perfect, reach out in 2 months because I'm busy now. I said, okay, that's how it started. So it's always been like that kind of referral business, whether it's me reaching out to old clients. But the hardest part is really when you're starting is to build that reputation and, who are you, and have people know what you do.
Yeah, because one of the hardest parts about like referrals, I can imagine, after speaking to so many coaches, is that initial flywheel, right? Like when you're probably not getting a lot of referrals when you're first starting and all that. And I'm curious at your point, because you've been 5 years into the game, are you at a point where you're like actually turning clients away and all that because of the amount of referrals that you're getting? Or is this starting to ramp up, or are you noticing it to get there?
I would say in year 3, so I'm almost in year 5. Year 3 is where I started seeing that I started charging for my discovery calls because it was just like, it was too much coming in. Not only that, because that link is open on the internet. So anybody can just click it and book an appointment. What I saw was happening also because as you grow, right, you're getting notoriety. People just want to, and they don't show up. A lot of times they don't show up. I don't know who this person is. It's just like, hey, it's wasting my time. It's wasting potentially a client's time. It's, you know what I mean? It's a big time waster. So I would say year 3 is where it started ramping up in terms of, not being accepted clients. I only take 10 clients like one-on-one basis. I have group coaching programs, but on one-on-one, I only take 10 at a time. And the reason why is just to over-service them and be like an effective coach with them. So once my 10 is locked, then I have a waiting list. And it happens sometimes that, I'll get down to 7 or 8, and then I have the waiting list that I can, call back in. Anyone that's getting started though, if I can put this in, and let's say you don't have that business background, my highest recommendation is just to start networking. Networking is any business, not just in coaching, any business, just to get out there and just meet people and talk to people without pitching. Have the intention, I'm just going in just to meet people. I don't want to sell my product, because if you go in there with that mindset, you're going to be toast really quick. And then that's when the referrals will come, because it might not be that person. It might be somebody else that they're connected to. They're like, hey, you know what? I just met a coach that could help you. Let me connect you to. And then that's a wonderful way to do it.
Yeah, I've heard that networking is really, I've talked to a lot of coaches and they recommend networking. And I'm very curious from your perspective, is there a certain type of person that you recommend networking with, I guess? Or who, like, let's say if I'm a new coach, who do you recommend like me networking with initially, I guess?
As a new or any coach or any business, it's in Canada, we have Eventbrite, which I'm pretty sure it's global. You just put in networking in the search or business networking or, one of the two. You'll get a list of all kinds of events that are around in your area, and you just choose one, and you can go industry specific. I tell people, I said, get out of your industry if you can, if it's logical to do it, and just go with that and just show up with intention with, it's always nervous. People get nervous and it's normal. You get in and you're like, okay, what do I say? Who do I talk to? And it's just about just getting out of but as we say about the comfort zone, when you're in the comfort zone, you're not growing. You have to get discomfort to get that growth. So just become discomfort. Just walk up to people. Everyone's there for the same reason. It's not like going to a bar and trying to meet a girl, right? No, because that's nervous wracking, right? You're like, it's very similar in terms of, meeting. So, but that girl is not necessarily there for meeting a guy or a partner or whatever. She may be there with her friend, different reasons. But in networking, everyone is there for the same reason. And most people are shy. So the outlier is the one that goes around and says, hey, how are you? My name is Randy. Nice to meet you. What do you do? And you start like that.
It's funny because the whole talking to girls at bars and stuff, there's no intent of meeting. You bring up a really good point. There's no intent of meeting, but a lot of these network events, there is intent. People want to meet each other and stuff like that too. I find that super interesting. Let's talk business for a second. So one of the things I love about this podcast is just hearing about the different business models, what's working for coaches at different stages. And so I think you said that you have one-on-one. I think you mentioned you have group coaching. I guess what are kind of like different coaching containers that are driving revenue to your coaching business right now?
So I would say one-on-one coaching is, that's my puppy, if I can say that's my baby. But from there, because, again, when I'm networking or I get referrals, people can't necessarily afford one-on-one coaching and it's expensive, especially when you're a startup and as a business owner. So that's why I developed these group coaching programs where people can come in and I coach them, right? So it's usually a 3-month program and it can be anywhere between 30 and 40 participants at the time. So that's a revenue generator as well. The last one that I do, it's the kind of combination, but I do my lunch and learn. So that's a paid event. I don't make much money from it because it's really people coming in. It's just to cover food costs and the location of the space. But from there, I also get speaking engagements where I do get paid to go speak. And so I speak in, sometimes it's networking events, sometimes it's corporate events. And I do that's another revenue generator.
And you don't have to give specific numbers or anything like that. But I guess when you first started creating these different containers, how did you come up with your pricing strategy? Because I know some people in the industry, when you're starting out, I know more beginners, they charge by time. Some people charge by value. What were some pricing strategies that you look toward when structuring these containers?
So I was fortunate enough, like I told you, I got certified through the Jay Shetty certification school. Once you get certified, they have a whole program, which is, they use the acronym MBA, but it's not Masters of Business, but they use the different acronym, but it's MBA.
Yeah.
And it really is to help the coach build their business. Now, I have a huge business building background. In this business I'm doing now, I find it's very similar to what I was doing with Merrill Lynch as a stockbroker, meaning it's going out, soliciting clients on a one-on-one basis and just, whether it's back in the day it was phone calls, but you can't do that anymore. but that was the way we did it, right? So it was mostly email and just getting out there. So I would say that the best, or what was the question? Let me answer it properly.
It's like, how did you come up with your pricing?
Within the school, they recommended like certain things, especially on one-on-one coaching. And of course, you see the other coaches, they're telling what they're doing. I looked online, I did research, and I said, okay, there's models that are for hourly coaching, and it's okay. Like, I know some people do that and they thrive with it. That's okay. But for me, what I found, and especially with my coaching, it's a long-term proposition, meaning you're going to get a little bit out of a coaching session, 100%, one session, but the real gold is multiple sessions. So what I found, so I started with 3 months, but what I found at the 3-month mark, a lot of people, they're like, things are going really well after 3 months because it's consistency, it's the habits that you've built for 3 months and things are going well. The danger is that when things go really well and you stop doing a lot of the things like, example, you go to the gym for 3 months and you eat lean for 3 months, it's going to show on your body. You stop that, you stop going to the gym, you stop eating, you're going to gain weight again, or you're going to start getting unhealthy again. That's what I was finding with my coaching, is that clients would come back after a month or two, say, hey, what we did, it's not working anymore. I go, okay, what are you doing? What aren't you doing? So I extended that to 6 months. So now clients want a one-on-one, it's minimum 6 months. Because I explain it to them. At 3 months, you're gonna want either you're gonna want to quit because you're gonna be like, I'm okay, I can flow. You're gonna get back to the same place. Chances are very strong. So I go with 6 months on the one-on-one, and I price it accordingly. I would say mid-range. I'm not the most expensive. I know coaches charge a lot. Actually, one of my best friends is business partners with Tony Robbins, so I know how much he charged on a package like mine, and the difference is very, very different in pricing.
Yeah, it's just always interesting hearing how like people come up with their initial pricing and all that too. So I always love learning what's working with some coaches and what's not.
It's research, Now with ChatGPT, which didn't exist when I started, funny enough, you can just figure it out, like what would make sense. And of course, it'll spew out a lot of garbage, but it's important to like question it over and over and over again to make sure you're getting the right pricing.
Yeah, that's why I'm so interested, because like pricing is one of those kind of like, I don't want to say taboo, right? But it's not really talked about a lot of times. And I always find it really interesting because I'm like fascinated by pricing. Like there's value-based pricing, which I particularly like and all that. So
right.
Yeah, I always love hearing different people's perspectives and stuff, especially you coming from a finance background too. Like I noticed that the answers vary depending on people's background as well. The other question I want to ask you is like, where I think we were talking before the podcast and you were telling me that you've been in business for 5 years and you're thinking about kind of scaling, but in a different way from like traditional scaling and stuff. Can you tell me kind of like your ambitions for this like coaching business? Where do you want it to take you and all that? I'd love to kind of hear that.
Sure. So what I meant, of course, as a coach, and the coaches are listening to this, they get a number of ads and the number of solicitations of scaling to 6 figures, 7 figures, and all these things. It's like, one, it's completely unreasonable. I mean, the amount of coaches that make 7 figures on the planet, I don't know what the number is, but I can just from educated guess, probably say 20, if that, of the whole planet of all the coaches. So just to get there is like, no one can actually, I mean, it can happen, but it's very hard. So I don't really buy into those models. For me, it's all about, I have my savings from, business from my previous businesses, so that's fine. Right now, all I'm doing is just trying to help as many people as I can, entrepreneurs, and build solid businesses, but not just the business, but their life and their family and everything that goes around it, So when you look at a successful business owner, let's say 20 years time, a happy marriage, they're making, decent money, they're providing for their families, their kids are in good schools, they're in a good place in life. That's the goal, is to get them there. But it's not just about making money. So once I do that, that's where when you say scale, me for scaling is when I see my clients thrive like that. And now I'm seeing it because I've been in it for 5 years. So I'm seeing the impact I have. And that one client, the first client I told you about, he's still my client today.
That's crazy.
After 5 years. Yeah. He just keeps continuing. Like he renews every 6 months. Like, yep, let's keep going. And I have a couple other clients that are, one, he started with me in year 1, like midway through year 1. He's still with me. And another one started me in year 2. So he's with me for 3 years. And yeah, but I'm seeing their lifestyle change. Like everything's changing around them. Not the financial aspect, the other side, the real life part.
I'm kind of curious too, because like I know some coaches I've spoken to on this podcast, they talk about like scaling their impact too. Are you one of those people that wants to hire coaches in the future, or do you like keeping it really intimate and one-on-one for your business?
Good question. Something I've actually, pondered, of course, building the practice and, following my methodology, my methods that are, there's a lot of Jay Shetty in there, but there's also my practice with Buddhist monks, with Buddhism, my experiences from the past that I bring to the table as well. So all these things combined, it does resonate with me to hire coaches and build a team behind it, but I don't think I'm quite there yet. Meaning, like I said, I have 10 clients that are, and when there's a waiting list, sometimes the waiting list is 4, 5, 6 people, whatever that number is. When it gets bigger, where it's like, okay, I can't service these people anymore, and demand is way too high for the one-on-one coaching, then maybe. Right now, I'm just having a lot of fun doing what I'm doing, and I'm like, there's no need for it, really. Of course, it's to make more money, but am I in this to make more money, or am I in this to make more impact? And I'm really firm about making more impact.
That's really smart to use the waiting list to anticipate your like demand and stuff. It's actually pretty smart.
Demand, it's economics. When I think back when I was younger, going to clubs, there used to be a club in Montreal called the Salvios. It was the most popular. Like if you were there, you're a seen person. Like and there was no lineup. It was just a semicircle around, and the doorman would come out and he'd pick people to come in, and that creates massive demand, right? Because you want to be in there. You want to be. Why am I not getting picked? I'm not good enough. I'm not smart enough. I'm not not good looking enough, whatever that is, you're not getting. So not that I'm doing that. As you said, it does create a demand because you're like, oh, I can't get you now. When can I get you? Funny enough, it does build the demand. Absolutely.
It's one of my favorite strategies of building authentic like urgency and scarcity because it's real. It's not a fake type of thing too. That's why I like people like Daniel Priestley a lot and all that as well.
Right.
Very curious about your business. What are some challenges that most people might not realize that you're going through with your business right now? If you're open to sharing, of course.
The biggest challenge, of course, in any coaching model is the fluctuation of revenue. What that means is unless you're well padded, you have to be well padded, is because it goes up and down. So for instance, I have 10 clients, it's great, life is good, right? When it goes down to 3 or 4, for whatever reasons, and it's not necessarily my coaching, it's just maybe it's me not prospecting enough for a while or whatever that is, filling up the pipeline, it draws drops. You need to have the financial solid footing to get through those levels. So I think that's the biggest challenge is the fluctuation of revenues and more keeping it streamlined. So the group coaching does help, of course, to stabilize the revenue line, but it still fluctuates. And I would say that that's one of the biggest challenges. It can get in your head, and that's what I coach, right? So, when you have 3 clients, you're like, what happened? I had 10 clients 3 months ago. Am I bad? Am I terrible? Am I not a good coach? For me, I'm like, I have to fight myself for it. So I'm like, Randy, you're a good person. Everyone tells you you're a good person. All your testimonials are super positive. No one's ever stopped a coaching program saying this is crap. This is not serving. It's never happened. I have to keep going. Don't listen to that voice.
I've noticed that even with myself, like I think if you're coming from like a 9-to-5 world and you're going into business, we just have to accept the risk of that. There's this famous Peter Drucker quote I love. He says, all profits derive from risk. And by starting business, we're inherently like taking on more risk, but that's why we also deserve to profit in those really prosperous times too. So,
sure. That's a great quote.
Yeah, one of my favorites. Are you ready to play a game, Randy?
Always.
On this show, it's only with me. There's a few hosts on this show, but with me, I always like to play this game, good investment, bad investment. And I'm really curious about the best investment that you've made in your business and the worst investment that you kind of wish that you got your money back from. If you're open to sharing, I would love to hear your best investment and worst investment.
My best investment, of course, let's talk dollars. It would definitely be in creating the brand. I think that's an important one of my best because that keeps things consistent. I'm a big believer in brands and branding. That was my strength going through like all my businesses was just creating that brand. So, and getting the right people behind it. So graphic artists and not just cheap out on it because you want something that really reflects your brand. So I'd say that probably be my best investment. My worst.
Stop you right there.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, like when you say investing into your brand, you mentioned graphic artists or graphic designers. Like, what were some of those strategic hires that you made when building the brand?
I used Upwork, and I just went to tender, and I just reached out to people that looked good, that I thought they could do a good job. Then I interviewed them. It was a long process. Long. It took a good, 2-3 months to nail down the right person, and then allowing them to come up with what they thought was a good, from colors to logo to styling, etc. So it's a process, and some people rush it, and they're just like, and I see apps, and of course you're an entrepreneur, you're starting, you want to cut costs, and you see, create your own free logo. It's okay, it can work, but it might not, later down the road, you might have to do a rebrand, and that's okay too. But let's try to eliminate that and just get the brand solid right from the get-go. What do people feel and see when they see your brand?
I was just very curious about that. Let's move on to your worst investment.
The worst investment was really, I wanted to start public speaking. I had already started public speaking. I spoke before in the past, but I just wanted to, refine it. So I got into this like coaching program for speakers, and it was rather expensive. And midway through, I was just like, this is not coaching. This is like, this didn't feel good at all. I was showing up for everything. It was just like, I'm not learning. I reached out, and I remember from the get-go, like the first presentation, and of course it comes with the freebie and you get the emails and they don't stop. Like a lot of coaches do that. And I was like genuinely interested, and I thought it was a good program. And as I got in and it halfway through, I was just like, no, this is not for me. And I remember from the first presentation, that's what I was going to say, is that it actually had the logo 100% guaranteed refunds. So I was like midway through, not even midway, I would say 30% through. I was just like, okay, you know what? This is not for me. Can I get a refund? They're like, there's absolutely no refunds. And they just continued the subscription because it was like a subscription on my credit card. I was like, what, you got to be joking me, So I would say that was my worst investment because it was like I jumped in and I beat myself up because I did due diligence to a certain extent, but I was like, oh, okay, this sounds good. This is what I need. But at the end of the day, no.
If you don't mind me asking, how much was it? The whole shebang?
It was close to 10,000.
And what year was this? Was it year one, year?
No, it was 2 years ago, which is part of my business plan because my year 4 was all about that. With last year was just getting on stages and speaking on stages. And actually my goal this year is to speak on a stage with 1,000 people. So I'm close to it. I've done 700 this year, but I'm not up to 1,000. So I still have a few more months. So
Final question for you. Let's say, knock on wood, I hope this doesn't ever happen to you, but let's say you lose your business and you had to start over again tomorrow with 0 followers, 0 clients, and none of the relationships that you kind of have right now. You need to start from new, but you have all the knowledge that you currently have right now. And so I'm very curious, what would you do in your first 90 days if you had to rebuild your coaching practice?
networking, it can be free. There's a lot of events that are free, so you don't even have to spend a dime, but it's just to get out there and, hey, I'm Randy. And you don't even need business cards anymore. You just need to LinkedIn. And with LinkedIn, there's like a scan, there's the code. So I don't even use business cards anymore. Like it's really rare that some, it's all free. LinkedIn is free. So I would say that would be the ultimate number one is to network.
Yeah. I know earlier you mentioned the Eventbrite kind of like tactic of looking for business things in the area. Is that your primary events that you kind of look for, or are there any other events that you kind of look for?
I do use Eventbrite, but now because I've been networking for a few years, you start building like there's some events that you always see the same people, which is, it's good, but it's not conducive to really building, right? But those people know people. So they'll start inviting you. Hey, Randy, I'm going to this thing. You want to come? Hey, Randy. So I start getting solicited to go to these events. And some of them are very private, very like bougie, very red carpet, very like hard to get into. But that's from building it. It doesn't come up like in once. But yeah, I would say Eventbrite is definitely the best place.
You know what I like about those events though, that you see a lot of people? I love like actually once I start getting to know people, I actually love hosting events too and stuff. Have you ever like hosted an event as well from your end? You seem like a pretty social person.
I've done a lot of event planning. Like that's part of my background of business building. As I do event planning, I still do that. I'm still in that market in that area. But funny enough is that I was at an event this weekend. So long story longer is I'm doing market. I work with Doctor she's in Montreal here, but just maybe half an hour. Like it's called West Island. Doesn't mean anything to you or anybody here. Yeah, but anyways, that's part of it's an area of Montreal. But where she's located, she just moved into this beautiful clinic that's really like, it has a lake vibe, cottage vibe to it. And within her clinic, she was looking for a coach. So she needed like a coach, and she does neurofeedback. I'm not going to dive into neurofeedback, but neurofeedback and brain mapping. And she needed some kind of performance coach. She saw everything I've been doing like online, and she goes, Randy, I need to do all these kind of things. I'm like, great. So once she moved in, I started taking over some of the things. And I said, we should do an event and just sort of get all the community business owners, because it's got like this cottage vibe, and they're like very homesy feel, and it's all small businesses. There's no like big companies there. Let's do an event. So this weekend we were invited with my girlfriend to this fashion, which is literally right next door to this clinic. And I'm always a firm believer of things happen for a reason in life. Doors open, look in and see what's going on. This space was absolutely phenomenal. It was artists, it's artistic, it's got lights. It was used fashion show with music and stuff, but easily this space could be done for events, and it's right next door. So actually the owner was there. I started talking to her. So I like the question that you asked. I'm definitely going to be planning that one with the Doctor in the next couple of months. We'll get it going.
That should be pretty exciting. Let me know how it goes, dude. Sure. Especially with you being an event planner, it's like I can imagine like you look at events differently than other people.
100%. Yeah. Lights and music and temperature, sizing, sitting, functionality of the space. Yeah. But this place is amazing. Like it's really, really, and it's small, and it's not a big space, but it's the sizing's perfect. So anyways, I'll let you know how it goes.
Yeah, please do.
And come to Montreal. You can come to Montreal and come to it.
Straight from Vietnam over. Well, if I was in the States, I actually would really consider it, to be honest with you. I haven't been to Montreal since I was like, 4 years old, and I'm like 37, so I'm pretty old. Like that's a long time ago. Randy, this is actually my last question. How can people find you and connect with you?
Sure. I think Instagram, Randy_Belham. My website is randybelham.com, and I have all my links on there. Yeah, I think those are the two. Or LinkedIn, Randy Belham, Facebook, Randy Belham. Just Google me. I've got like the first 7 pages of Randy Belham.
Well, Randy, thank you for dropping so much knowledge and being so open about your different business models. I think like one of the cool tactical things I kind of really enjoyed hearing was like actually the waitlist stuff and all that, and then also kind of your ambitions too. Like I think you have a very different view than what most people think about scaling. I really appreciate that you put your clients first before like going to the moon or whatever like that, like a lot of those like other people who try to scale as well. So sure. Thank you so much for sharing your experience, Randy, and hopefully we'll have you back for another one. Yeah, absolutely.
Cool. Thanks for having me on board. It was a great conversation.
Welcome to Career Coaching Secrets, the podcast where we talk with successful career coaches on how they built their success and the hard lessons they learned along the way. My name is Davis Nguyen, and I'm the founder of Purple Circle, where we help career coaches scale their business to $100,000 years, $100,000 months, and even $100,000 weeks. Before Purple Circle, I've grown several 7- and 8-figure career coaching businesses myself, and have been a consultant at 2 career coaching businesses that are doing over $100 million each. Whether you're an established coach or building your practice for the first time, you'll discover the secrets to elevating your coaching business.